sanitised spoon. So our mission now is to get it to a rolling boil, and we can add in our first hops. Alexa, set timer 40 minutes. That's when the remainder of the hops go in. It's been a quiet 30 minutes while the rolling boil continues to roll. I've got the demijohn and the funnel ready. In the last 10 minutes, we're going to add the Irish moss and the Fuggles hops. Bubblers ready to use, and I'm going to do that extra filter step by putting it into this muslin bag as well. So everything is good. We've just got a little while to wait before we add those final hops. We're 10 minutes away from the call, so Fuggles hops can go in there, as can our double dose of Irish moss. Give that a stir and start getting the cool bath ready. Our yeast, hopefully that's got a bit of a start. Cool packs are ready, time to crash cool. Right, we're down to 40 degrees, we've got to get to the 30, but first filter is going to be using this bag. .3, so we've just got to go down another 8 degrees. Last step, put the bung. Saved a little bit of sanitizer to put in the bung. Yep, seems like that was it. Okay. I also did a bit of the back of the fag packet calculation on the hydrometer reading. Now, obviously the end point is what really matters to do the calculation, but the starting point gives you a good indication of how much alcohol is going to be in the beer. And the expectation from a session ale was sort of slightly the lighter end. Now, according to the hydrometer reading, which came out with a sort of initial gravity or original gravity of 1.055, you stick that in the formula and you assume that you're going to get down to sort of a hydrometer reading of roughly 1-ish by the time the beer's brewed. That would put you at 7%. Now that is a strong beer. Now I'm not saying that it's definitely going to get to that point, but certainly early indications are that it could be quite an alcoholic brew, quite different to what was expected. Now, some interesting snippets of information. First of all, the brew was designed for a UK gallon, and unfortunately I only have at the moment a US gallon demijohn. Now that is a difference of 3/4 of a litre. So, 3.8 in a US gallon, 4.5 roughly in a UK gallon. But I sort of overlooked that, and in the step where we sort of add water, which would have diluted it down a bit, the expectation was you would add about a litre of water just after the boil, or just after the cool, in fact. I did add water, but it was about half a litre. So there was, there was half a litre short, if you like, of water. In the instructions also, there was a sort of short message in there that said, if you've still got space in your demijohn, just top up the difference with water. And in fact, I had a little bit left over at the end. Not very much, but I did have a little bit left over. So effectively the dilution that sort of happens later didn't happen. I'm not sure that would account for quite such a stark difference, sort of half a litre of water, effectively sort of resulting in, a move from, roughly 4.7 that we were expecting to about, 6.8, which is what that calculation gives us. But, a few other things too. I think, this brew is the first one I've done with more confidence. The first few, I was still, I still am learning, but, there was a lot more learning to do in those early ones. And I think, when we were going through the mash sort of stage, one of the things that I worked much harder on this time was making sure I stirred it regularly and sort of moved the grains around. And then during the sparge, effectively the same thing again. I worked very hard to make sure that we were sort of getting all those sugars out, which was I certainly didn't sort of pay that level of attention, or even realise I needed to pay that level of attention the first time around. So that could have made a difference. My new thermometer as well actually sort of gives me sort of some really sort of good readings, easy to read, easy to sort of position, easy to then keep it at the right temperatures, which probably again that my temperature control in those first few attempts was definitely sort of highly variable, and I think that's improved. So all of these factors, I think, just tighten up the process. And the more experience you get doing this and the more practice you have doing this, it improves. However, that's still an unexpected outcome. The brew is sort of trending towards such a high alcohol content. But again, it's started up already. I mean, it's lunchtime on day one. Effectively, I finished brewing sort of around 9 o'clock. 9 or 10 o'clock yesterday, so it really has only been way in the dark for 12-14 hours, and already it's pretty there's a lot going through the bubbler. It's generating a lot of gases, so I'm off to a good start, I think. Experience is starting to sort of help improve the process, and we'll see what happens sort of as we continue. So thank you for listening.